All right, my old friend Mark Fox is here. I did the first half of this two-part Ryder Cup extravaganza where I go through both teams and deliberate on the captain's pick, kind of a Ryder Cup deep dive. And I talked about the American team last week. And I wanted to bring on a real like European golf sicko for the European team. So I am joined by my Irish brethren. Mark, it is great to have you back on the pod, my friend.
Andy, what an absolute pleasure it is to be here. And I've got to admit, like, this is the one event every 2 years that makes me wake up and realize why I love golf so much. Like, I understand people say it's an exhibition, and that's a fair enough assessment of it, but it's the one time every 2 years that we get to come together and go against each other and actively root against each other. And it's also the fact that the home course, the home team has won so often, just makes it such a bigger challenge. Like, I know for a fact that this is the one of the things on Rory McIlroy's agenda this year, along with winning the Masters, is the win and away Ryder Cup. So I am buzzing for this September in New York.
So just before we get into the Ryder Cup, fill me in a little bit on what you've been up to. I know Mark and I have actually played golf in Ireland before. We played a phenomenal round at Waterville in the pouring rain 2 years ago. I still think about that golf course all the time, by the way. Like I want to go back there so badly because I believe some of those golf courses in Southern Ireland are the best golf courses in the world, certainly that I've ever played. I still think about that round at Waterville all the time.
You've got hairs standing on the back of my neck right now. No, my brother actually played Waterville there 2 weeks ago. Not a breath of wind, like 28 degrees temperature, and he came off and he was just blown away by how great it was. I always say, honest to God, it's the best set of par threes I've ever played in my life.
Yeah,
I just think that I can't remember which holes where it's been a while now, but the fourth is just like this dune just out from the left hand side, and then the seventh hole is straight downwind, downhill, and this is like, how am I going to stop the ball on this green? I think about that. I remember I think the 16th or 15th we're walking up the fairway, and this rainbow comes overhead, and you're just walking. I'm like, how is this?
You made a massive putt, by the way, to win the match. I don't know if you remember that, but it was on the 18th hole, and we were with my two best friends in the world, Billy and Jack. And I remember you made a massive putt to win the match. It was like a 50-footer or something crazy.
I would love to say I don't remember it, but I remember it so vividly, Andy. We went around, jumping around, high-fiving. That was but just the whole day in general, it was just incredible. We got like the 4 seasons in one day, and beautiful. But in terms of what else I've been up to, I think probably last year, just for anybody who's Irish and listening, I started playing a lot of Gaelic football again. Came out of retirement after 3 or 4 years and started playing my local club. And then this year, I became one of those guys that tries to pretend that he's a professional athlete and he does high roxes the whole time. So that's taken over a little bit of my time. But it's not a valid excuse. But even before that, you got me in love with, I don't know if you want to get onto this now or towards the
let's
end,
talk about it.
You've got me in love with Ballybunion Golf Club.
Oh, it's the best.
I am not exaggerating, Andy. I think about that at least twice a week for the last 2 years. 2 years since I played it, or I think it's around 2 years. And I know that when you were last over, I put you in touch with Kevin Markham, and he's an Irish photographer, really, really good, does a lot of great work. But you spoke about how great the course was, and I think it's the 11th is uphill par 3 and the 12th is a downhill par 3, and it just brings you through these weaves and ups and downs throughout the round. And I am so excited to get back there. That's just one of the courses off the list.
Ballybunion is one of the greatest golf courses in the world. I truly, I mean, I think about the golf courses that I played in Ireland all the time. I'm itching to get back there. So have you been playing a bunch, or has football consumed you more? I don't want to lose your love of golf to another sport.
No, absolutely not. It's probably find the time commitment to play.
Yeah.
But This year, I'm making a conscious effort now, especially. I think I have a few rounds booked in over the next few weeks to get to play Carton House. No big names picked off the list, but we were considering going up to Royal Portrush at some stage in September.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dying to see the ones in Northern Ireland. Obviously, when I made that trip and we met at Waterville, we hit all the Southern Ireland ones, but I haven't played any golf in Northern Ireland.
We've got to get you up. Royal Portrush, like I mentioned, I haven't played it yet. Played Royal County Down a couple of years ago. That place would just blow you. Like that and Ballybunion are the two that I deliberate in my head so often.
I was going to say, do you like it? Do you, 10 rounds at Royal County Down versus Ballybunion, how would you split them?
Honestly, I'd probably go 7 Ballybunion, 3 Royal County Down, and that's no slight on how good Royal County Down is. I honestly like Ballybunion, just like even that 9th hole, and I'm getting carried away with myself here, but it's like you're going to hit a long iron into a green that's angled from front left to back right, and you're just like, how do I stop the ball on this green? And I would just go down and just play that hole a million times over. But Royal County Down, the allure of Royal County Down is the fact that you have all of these blind tee shots, and you just come off the golf course thinking, oh, why did I not take a different line on the 9th hole or the 2nd hole, etc. And that's the one thing that keeps you coming back to Royal County Down is, what could I have done better? I would have taken all these different lines. Whereas Ballybunion, it's like, oh, I would love to just hit that approach shot again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. Have you been keeping up too much with the pro game this year at all as well? Because obviously we had an Open Championship in Northern Ireland this year.
I wanted to ask you this. So have I been keeping up with the pro game? Not as much as I used to.
I feel that's common for a lot of people I speak to.
Yeah, okay, there's a few things that come in here. Like, first of all, it's just the money and people just obviously going on to different tours.
Right.
But the second reason of all, and this has nothing to do with the golf, but this is kind of like a slight, but Twitter/X has gone, in my opinion, such a poor experience that I'm like, I used to love following along on the Sunday night.
I agree with you. It's changed. I mean, there's just, people seem angrier a lot all the time, but that golf Twitter is nothing like it was when we first started.
And I used to love seeing like you, John, Brian Kirshner, Joey Doney, just like tweeting at the top of my timeline all the time, and encouraged me to get engaged and follow along with the sport as it was happening over the weekend. But I've just found myself now, for some reason, I'm getting a lot of US politics, or there's cars and Ferraris all over.
That's what you get on the everything app now. You get a little bit of everything. You can't even just curate it to like, comfortable, fun golf takes. It's changed a lot for sure. I think that's a fair assessment.
But the counterpoint to all of this is, Andy, I've never ever found the major championship so consuming over 4 days at a weekend. Like, I'm just, John Rahm's back in the field. Let's see what he's going to do. Oh, Dean Burmester is back. Paul Case, like, even though Paul Case, I don't think he played a major championship this year, but what are these guys going to do? Lee Westwood, for example, at the Open Championships, like, we haven't seen him in 2 years, and all of a sudden he's back competing at the Open Championships. I've just found them incredibly good. And then the major championship courses this year, Oakmont, Portrush, and Augusta, obviously, have been just insane viewing Thursday straight through to Sunday.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts been? I'd love to get your thoughts.
I found what you're saying to be very common with a lot of golf fans I know, where they are still super engaged and love the major championships and obviously the Ryder Cup, but they struggle to get up for the week to week on the PGA Tour. And I know you used to be like, you were like us, you would grind the PGA Tour every single week and make a betting card. And I know you don't do that as much anymore, but I found that to be pretty common, where a lot of people struggle with the week to week grind of the PGA Tour, but are still super engaged in like the majors and the Ryder Cup. Selfishly, for my company, I want people to be as engaged in the week to week as the PGA Tour as possible, because for my job and my company, we cover every week on the PGA Tour. And so when people are playing daily fantasy and betting every week on the PGA Tour, that's like good business for me. Like, I want people to care about it, but I understand it's very hard to do.
So the one thing I really like about Inside Golf, the Inside Golf podcast, Inside Sports, is you keep on top of this is where the average sports fan might struggle week to week, and maybe where people have got a little bit lost. It's like there's so many up and coming stars at the moment that it's so hard to keep in touch and keep on top of who, like, even my brother, who I keep mentioning, like, he's like, who is this Chris Goddard guy? Like, what's he doing at the Genesis Scottish Open? Whereas the big thing about the best golf podcast that separated them from the average golf podcast is that they're aware of these guys before they come up, so it makes people want to listen. So that's where I probably find
we try to be. I definitely go as in depth probably as it gets on like the week to week of the PGA Tour. Like, I just, if you're betting it and playing daily fantasy every week, I do think it gives you a huge leg up in the major championships to be as informed as possible. But I also do think what's happening right now with Scotty Scheffler is like very historically relevant and interesting. Like, I am not just as like, I'm a huge Rory McIlroy guy, as you know. Like, we both love Rory McIlroy and have talked about that before. But I think what's happening with Scotty Scheffler right now, where every time he tees it up now, he's not going really against his modern peers. Like, every major championship, he's trying now to become one of the 5 to 10 greatest golfers to have ever lived. And that to me is extremely interesting. Like, now thinking about the possibility that Scheffler could, he's not Tiger or Jack, but like, it's a very real possibility based on the pace that he's on, that Scotty Scheffler could like have a career that's better than Gary Player and Arnold Palmer and maybe even Ben Hogan and Sam Snead and all of those guys. That to me is very interesting to watch and follow. And I think that will be something for the average golf fan that is worthwhile paying attention to, but it doesn't really solve the problem of the week to week on the PGA Tour, because like, whether Scotty Scheffler wins the FedEx Cup or not, that does nothing for his legacy.
I agree. So, and here's the thing, even Saturday evening when the FedEx St. Jude was happening, and I had a bunch of friends texting me like, oh, Scotty's going to run away with this again. And if this was back in February, typically people would not have passed any remarks. It was going to be like, oh, Scotty's going to win his for the second time in the last 6 months, blah, blah, blah. Like, nobody would really pass any marks. Whereas now people are starting to understand the context of how great this run is. And they're starting to pick sides. Is he a
star in Ireland? Like, I was wondering that. Like, do people in Ireland, do they respond to Scotty Scheffler? Do they like realize how good he is?
They probably don't realize how good he is.
Because he's not like I don't know. It's like, he seriously could be one of the 5 to 10 greatest humans to ever pick up a golf club. And yet I still don't know if he has like star power.
So the reason I don't think he has star power is, and this is, we've heard this a million times, but like, Tiger used to make these amazing shots from over the back of the green, which is like a 1 in 50 chance of getting up and down. Whereas Scotty just does the same thing week in, week out, which is hit the fat part of the green, make some putts. And that's probably the reason he doesn't have the star power. And then there's two things at play here. If you're a big golf fan, you have to dive into two things. One is the strokes gained, to understand how great this is, which is, I don't think a lot of people actually do. And the second thing is you have to listen really closely to his press conferences, where he gives the most incredible answers. Because you can read one line or 2 lines on Twitter and think that's the most boring answer I've ever heard. But if you read the full paragraph in context, you're like, God, that's a really, really good insight that I don't get from a lot of other players. So I think it's like people just trying to buy into a little bit more about who Scotty is, what he does, and how great this is in terms of numbers. That gives a little bit more context. So me personally, I understand how great this is, and I am under no illusion as to how good this could be. But I think a lot of people here, they probably root against them, because like Justin Rose and Tommy Fleetwood over the weekend, it was like friends text me Saturday, Sunday, like, please not Scotty again, just please not. Open Championship, people were just bored.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's well said. I mean, this Ryder Cup also, it feels like the European team, like, there's just a lot of really likable players on the European side. Like, a lot of my favorite players to watch and root for are on the European team. Like, I'm a huge I like Ludvig a lot. Like, I'm a fan of his. I think he is every bit as good as advertised, and he's just somebody that I typically root for whether or not I have money on him or not. Fleetwood, same thing. Like, I love Fleetwood. I just have always loved Fleetwood, and I'm always rooting for him to get over the finish line. This past week in Memphis was pretty tough. The American team, and we can start talking about this to transition us into the Ryder Cup, but this group of American players, Cantlay, Xander, Morikawa, Justin Thomas, they don't really do a lot for me. I don't find myself rooting for them individually as players unless I have money on them. And so I haven't made a decision whether I'm going to bet the American team or the European team. We can talk through the European team today. But I think the European team to me is a lot more likable than the American team, personally.
So here's one thing. I start. This is going to be, some people will not like this. I started watching some YouTube golf over probably the last 12 months, and just some casually sitting there, and I watched Justin Thomas playing with Grant Hoare. Justin Thomas had to go out and the other players and be like, "Hey guys, we need to make more of an effort to go out and speak with the media and try to get talking." I was like, Justin, I don't know, from on the European side, it doesn't feel like that happens so much. And a lot of that is credit to the DP World Tour and the great work that they do in terms of content, going out, filming hole-in-one shots, filming Rory McIlroy playing in Dubai, I think. There's a really, really good video going around with Peter Finch and Victor Hovland at the Titleist Center. And it is lashing rain. And a lot of pros won't turn up. And Victor's like, Joe, I don't care. Like, he's taking time out of his day. I'll take time out of my day. Like, I committed to this. And I'm just like, the Europeans just, I feel like they put themselves out there much more. Same with Shane Lowry, who's Irish Patriot. I'm going to love Shane Lowry, but they just put themselves out there.
What's the deal with Shane Lowry, though? Because he's a bit of a curmudgeon. Like, I feel like we give Lowry a pass for acting like a child on the course all the time. Have you noticed that? Like, like, a lot of the reputation that Hatton has, Lowry acts like that all the time, and I feel like he gets a pass because he's chubby.
You're speaking to the wrong person here, Andy.
I know you're a Lowry fan because you're an Irishman, so you love Lowry. But I feel like he acts really petulant on the course all the time, and we give him a free pass.
I have a soft spot for people who have who show a lot of emotion on the golf course.
Yeah, so I've got no problem with it too from time to time, but you know, he gets away with a lot.
And he's definitely got like a bit of a worse rep here in Ireland than what he had in the past few years since he won the Open Championship. That obviously got him a lot of brownie points, and people were like, Joe, what is Lowry? He went out in Dublin the Sunday that he won the Open Championship, and he had good crack, and he bought everybody drinks, and that was fantastic. He was up in the table singing. That's starting to wear off a little bit now. Me personally, getting away from Twitter, I've like fallen in love. That might cause some people to like cross their eyebrows and be like, really? I don't know about that one. But just these sort of players that go out and they're like, I don't care. I'm just going to like give out. But to answer your point, yes, there's been a good few people in Ireland starting to question, like, is Shane Lowry that good of a persona to have as a representation of the Irish golf scene?
So I want to run through the 6 qualifier. I think the European team, to be honest with you, I don't think we're going to have that much deliberation or disagreement on what is the core of this team. Like, I feel like the European team has somehow seamlessly made this transition from the like Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, Sergio Garcia years into a team now that like has a real core group of guys and a real identity that have now played in at least 2 or 3 Ryder Cups together and are like the main core of this team. I'm obviously talking about Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, Tyrrell Hatton, John Rahm, Ludvig Åberg, Victor Hovland, Shane Lowry, Matt Fitzpatrick. Those guys, I mean, they're on the team. That's the team. I mean, it leaves us, well, let me just to dot our I's and cross our T's. The 6 actual qualifiers as of now are Rory, Bobby Mack, Tommy Fleetwood, Hatton, Justin Rose, and Sepp Straka. So those guys, as of now, qualifying, I think there's only one more week with the BMW Championship. Those guys are pretty much locked, and Justin Rose actually took that spot. Do you feel like if Rose hadn't won in Memphis, that he would have still made your team? Because he hasn't had a great season outside of, those 2 big spike weeks where he almost won the Masters and then won this FedEx Cup playoff event. But the way that the qualifying points works, it really heavily favors like performance in major championships. And obviously if you win an event, so it seems like Rose is just on it. It's a non-starter.
Rose would have been on my team.
Yeah, he probably would have. You're right.
But so here's the thing about the Europeans, and I'm going to obviously be really biased here, but I think they do a really good job of here's your role in the team, and you're not expected to go and be an all-star right here. Justin Rose would have just been spoken to by Luke Donald, being, hey, you're going to be a leader in the team. Take these people under your wing. You might play 2 sessions, you might play 3 sessions, but you will have a fundamental central part of playing the success of this team. And I think he would have understood that, and he would have relished that opportunity as well. And the fact of Rose is that if he plays 2 sessions out of 5 sessions, it would have meant that he had a lot of energy if he plays Friday and plays Sunday. And then this is obviously a bonus that he's starting to play well now as well. But I think even coming up to this, like, he had a good first 2 or 3 rounds at the Open Championship, and then finished T16. He finished 6th at the Genesis Scottish Invitation Open. So I think he's just started to hit a bit of form, but he was always going to be on the team. I think if we didn't have Rose in there may have been some questions over potentially like a lack of leadership within the team, apart from McIlroy, Rahm, and maybe Hovland, even though Hovland's still quite young.
I agree with you. I think he's probably a future captain of this event. Like I think that he has like enough Ryder Cup experience. I think he gets the European culture in the same way that many great like European Ryder Cuppers have before him. And I think he can pair well with I'm trying to remember, they put him last year with like Højgaard or Bobby Mack. And he did like a really good job, if I remember correctly, playing with one of the younger guys in Italy.
He paired with Bobby Mack on the Friday, and then paired with Bobby Mack on the Saturday as well. Drew on the Friday and beat Thomas and Spieth on the Saturday 3-2. But the thing is, just go back to my last point. I think the reason McIlroy saying this is his number 1 goal for the Masters, Rose being like implementing this like vision of the team, it brings people in and makes them realize there's a bigger goal at stake here rather than just me playing and winning 5-0. There's actually a goal to go and win the Ryder Cup in America, in New York at Bethpage. And that is the fundamental role that Rose will have within this team. So I think, like you said, in 2023, he did a really good job playing with McIntyre in his first ever Ryder Cup. And that's the sort of father figure like that he brings.
How do you feel about, like, as a European fan, what's your confidence level on Bobby Mack and Sepp Straka just as European team members? Do you think those are, because I thought they were good, not outstanding at Marco Simone, but they feel like 2 relatively important hinge pieces for this team. Like, it's the type of thing where I feel like if Bobby Mack or Sepp Straka end up going 3-0, Europeans win. Like they're those two guys where it's like, if the Europeans can win on the margins, and they always feel like they have those one or two guys at the back end of their roster that just like randomly goes 3-0 for them and has their role, but isn't out there playing 5 matches, but just ends up like randomly winning those 1 or 2 points that you aren't necessarily expecting out of them. Bobby Mack and Sepp Straka both kind of played that role for the Europeans last year. And now I think they've both like improved as golfers. Like I think they're only going to be better and more comfortable than they were at Marco Simone. Like I view Bobby Mack and Sepp Straka now both as like very major assets to this team.
So here's the thing. I was doing, like, when we were doing some preparation, for the pod, and I was looking at Victor Hovland and how good he's been. In 2021, he went 0-3-2. Now, granted, the fact that it was on foreign soil, and then in 2023, he goes 3-1-1. So just having that experience of like getting the Ryder Cup experience and getting out and just fleshing it out.
Yeah, the second time around
made him a better player second time around. If we think about McIntyre, obviously the last one was in Rome, so it's going to be a lot easier. But he went 2-0-1. Straka went 1-2-0. I think this time they're better players. They'll be way more comfortable. I think Luke Donald will do a really good job in managing their expectations of, hey, you're going to go out and play at Bethpage. There's going to be fans chirping in your ear. Just know that we're really close in it, and we'll have your back no matter what happens here. I think they will relish that opportunity. So, like, I think I was obviously far more confident back in March about how great this team would be, but I still have full faith in Luke Donald. I think he did such a good job in Marco Simone in terms of getting players ready for the day. I think that bringing them out to Bethpage would be like, I think they could go really, really good this time, especially considering the year that they've had.
So we have the 6 qualifiers, and then I'm going to give you these 5 guys that, in my opinion, are complete locks. Like, I don't think what they do this week at Caves Valley, or in the case of Rahm, Live, matters at all. And you tell me if you're in agreement that these guys are like locked on the team. Rahm, Ludvig, Hovland, Lowry, Fitz. I don't think there's any deliberation there. I think those 5 guys you have to bring. And it wasn't always Fitz. Like, Fitz had a really slow start to the season, but now I think he's played well enough where Fitz is 100% on that team.
Yeah, I'd love to disagree here, and I'd love to come up with some good content and take someone from way down the board. But realistically, I think it is those 5 players, and they've. I don't know what's happened. I feel like a lot of them have come in. Even Hatton played well at the Open Championship. They've just said, oh, shit.
I lost you for a second there, but you're good.
And I don't know if Luke Donald's done something in the back, because I feel like Fitzpatrick has come good this time of the year. Rose has come good. Hatton's come good. It seems like all these players are starting to peak at the correct time.
That's what it is. It always feels that way with the Europeans. Like, they all start to come together around this time.
And like, it must be something to do with the leadership, because they must be sitting down having dinners, talking about how much this is going to mean to them and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, Rose's ears perks up, and Fitzpatrick's ears are like, oh, God, I want to make that team. I better start playing a little bit better, because they understand also the pressure that's coming behind them. Like, David Puig started to play well. Alex Noren's has had some really good finishes recently. Matt Wall's starting to play a little bit better. They started to feel a little bit of pressure, and they understand how much this means to them. So I'm not sure what's happening in the background, but it must be something pretty good, and I would love to be a fly on that European Ryder Cup team wall.
It is interesting where, like, Fitz was having a relatively disappointing season, and then right around the last month and a half, he started playing some excellent golf. I mean, he was in the top 5 of the Open Championship from start to finish. He never really had a real chance to win because Scotty Scheffler is one of the literal greatest of all time. But like, if Scotty Scheffler doesn't exist, we're potentially talking about Matt Fitzpatrick as a Open champion. And he was also, he was in one of the final groups at the PGA Championship as well. Like, if Scotty Scheffler didn't exist, we could be talking about Matt Fitzpatrick potentially having a major championship this year. I don't know how I feel right now about Hovland's game, to be honest with you. He has been really shaky to me this season. Like, there's been stretches of brilliance where he's had some great rounds. Obviously, he won the Valspar, but I believe he's been one of the more disappointing players this season. And that's only because I think of him so highly. Like, last year in 2024, Hovland was without a doubt, in my opinion, one of the 5 best players in the world. And I don't think he's been anything close to that this year.
Yeah, and that win at the Valspar nearly came like a flash in the pan as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned the week before about how bad his game was, and all of a sudden he puts 4 really good rounds together at the Valspar, and he follows up with a T21 finish at the Masters tournament. Like, it just seemed to come out of nowhere. So I've been really, really disappointed. I thought he would have seen, for example, like Ludvig coming through, a Nordic player, and been like, I want to reach his aspirations and I want to show them that I'm the best Scandinavian player out here. But my only argument is, in the past few weeks, I feel like his iron play has started to come back a little better.
Yes.
He's gained strokes putting in 3 consecutive tournaments. His US Open gained 2 strokes on approach. Travelers 3 strokes on approach. Genesis Scottish Open 1.8 strokes on approach. And last week gained just under 1 stroke on approach per round. So starting to come back a little bit, and maybe it's similar to what we said about Fitzpatrick and Fleetwood and Hatton and Rose starting to peak at the right time. I think Victor Hovland could be, I can't really say he's going to be really good at the Ryder Cup, but I think he could have a really central part to play in this team. And I think if he continues in this progression level, I'm hoping that we'll get a really good Victor Hovland in New York, because I would love to see him relish that opportunity amongst those fans.
Yeah. I don't think he's crazy far off. Like, you're right. The iron play this year has been the typical levels of Hovland. It just, and like, he literally almost won the US Open. I mean, could be almost talking about him as a US Open champion. It just feels like there's been a lot more sloppiness out of him this year. I think Ludvig's really close to playing some amazing golf. Like, he's one of my picks to win this week at Caves Valley. Like, I think he has an outstanding chance to win the BMW Championship this week and potentially be a major factor at Eastlake next week as well. Like, we are not getting the Ludvig ceiling off the tee where he's been like a top 3 to 5 driver of the ball in the world. And I know that, like, that's what Ludvig can be, but he's starting to gain more consistently on approach, and the short game and putting has been kind of his bugaboo all season. Like, Ludvig just hasn't chipped or putted well really all year. But the ball striking is like really starting to come around to elite levels. And I think Ludvig is going to play a major, like, it's too far out yet for me to think about like the betting markets and like top individual point scorer and stuff like that. But I already have my eyes on Ludvig as like, I think he's a guy who is not afraid of the moment. I thought in his first appearance at Marco Simone, like, he played pretty admirably for the spot that he was in. And I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with at Bethpage.
I was very disappointed with his like miscut at the PGA and his miscut at the US Open as well. Like, it just felt very un-Ludvig like. But my question for you is, how do you think that they're going to set up Bethpage? Do you think they'll cut down the rough, or do you think they'll let it grow up?
Okay, so from what I've heard, they're going to make it more scoreable. So I don't think they're going to have the rough grow up like crazy. I think that the way that they want to set up the Ryder Cup is for more scoreable opportunities, right? And so I think there's going to be, just like we saw Marco Simone, there's going to be a couple like really difficult holes And there's going to be some birdie opportunities as well, and some risk reward chances as well. Like the first hole, for example, the first hole for Bethpage is like normally just like a standard medium length, not super hard, not super easy par four. And it looks like they're going to use a forward tee at least one of the days and make that a drivable par four. And if they're already thinking like that, like in terms of making some of these holes a little bit more risk rewardy and giving players an opportunity to score, I think the golf course is going to be set up easier than like we would see Bethpage set up for a major championship. Now, what's interesting to me, and we can talk about this for the final selection on the team, because I think whether the golf course is set up to favor more accurate players or more longer players is going to really depend who the European team picks for their final pick. But to me, like, the European team has an answer now for anything that the US throws out. So I actually don't think that there's like a way that the US can set up the golf course that would demonstrably favor the US team over the Europeans. Like, the skill profiles are very even. Like the Europeans have an answer skill profile wise for anything that the US could do to the course. They want to make it like super distance bias. The European team has an answer for that. They want to make it super crazy accuracy bias. Well, the Europeans can just pick Aaron Rai for their final slot and like go super heavy on their accurate guys like Fleetwood and Shane Lowry. So to me personally, I don't think that there's a way that the Americans can set up the golf course that is going to like heavily fuck with the Europeans in a way that like those days of, you know, like Golf National where the Europeans made it super accuracy bias and the US got hit with like a bus because they didn't realize they didn't have a team that was prepared for an accuracy bias golf course. I think those days are gone. Like, I think both teams on course fit standpoint have an answer for each other.
And it's even the fact that the teams are so well rounded now that the bottom four, like, I don't know, but I felt like in 10 years ago that used to be very top base and top heavy, whereas now they all can rely on any resource that they want. So all of this goes into the statistical analysis and the data analysis in terms of, okay, we want these group of 8 players if it's going to be distance based, and this group of 8 players if it's going to be accuracy based, and we'll be able to rest players as they come and go. But yeah, that leads me on to my final player, who's more so on the length side of things, who's going to be Nicolai Højgaard.
So that's like that final spot is the interesting one. And if you're going to say it's a bomber friendly golf course, then I think you pick one of the Højgaards. I if it's an accuracy golf course, then I think you go Aaron Rai.
Only thing about Nicolai is the fact that he's played in one of these before.
Yeah.
And I think going to an international Ryder Cup in New York, being able to deal with those fans, being able to deal with the heckles, that's why I put Nicolai as a step forward ahead of Aaron Rai, even though Aaron Rai's been playing actually relatively decent golf the last few weeks with a T5 at the Wyndham. But yeah, I prefer having a player who's experienced this sort of atmosphere before, the Monday to the Thursday, warming up, getting ready in front of those fans, not being intimidated, even though in Marco Simone there was only a small number of US fans, but even having that little bit of experience and bringing that to the course. Now, if Aaron Rai plays well over the next couple of weeks, maybe there's potential that we see a little reverse decision by McDonald. But yeah, I'd be much more comfortable seeing Nicolai out there than Aaron Rai.
Are we sure he's the best Højgaard? Are we sure that Nicolai's the preferred choice over Rasmus? I go back and forth on this. I think Nicolai has been more deserving this year, but I'm not sure if he's 100% a better golfer than Rasmus.
Before Marco Simone, I was always convinced, like hand down convinced, Rasmus Højgaard was better.
Me too.
The better Højgaard. And then it just seemed to like do a U-turn on this, and all of a sudden Nicolai emerged. For some reason, I've no statistics or data to back this up. I feel like I feel Rasmus is much more of a natural golfer. And just the way he swings the golf club and all. Nikolai looks a bit more robotic in terms of how he swings the golf club. But Nikolai's obviously found something that works in the swing, and that's why he's starting to emerge here.
And Nikolai has been better this year. Like, if you look at the data golf rankings, Nikolai is 52nd and Rasmus is 86. If you go by the last 3 months, Nikolai has gained, I mean, his true strokes gain is about 1.5 and Rasmus is 0.5. So if you're just looking at form over the last 3 months, Nikolai has been a stroke better than Rasmus. If you're going by the last 6 months, Nikolai's at plus 0.94 and Rasmus is at minus 0.03. You have to take Nikolai. Now, though, if you go to last 12 months, Rasmus has been better over the last year, barely. But over the last 3 months and the last 6 months, Nikolai has been a stroke per round better than Rasmus.
And all of the statistics point towards Nikolai being the better player, apart from the OWGR. Nikolai is 89th and Rasmus is 79th. So,
yeah, which is like whatever at this point.
So just close that point. I honestly think Rasmus is a much more natural golfer, but obviously, like you've alluded to there, Nikolai has been a much better golfer over the last 3-6 months.
Is there a case, because the only other pushback that I would give you, and I think if they are going to chop down the rough a little bit, I've played Bethpage many times, and no matter what they do with the rough, distance is just very advantageous at that golf course. I mean, they may set it up in a way that it's both distance and accuracy that you want, but no matter what, it's just a long enough golf course where distance is going to be important, no matter how long the rough is. And so if we know that distance is going to be at least a positively correlated skill, then Nikolai probably feels like a safer bet than picking somebody like Aaron Rai, Harry Hall, or Matt Wallace, or Alex Noren. But those would really be the only 4 guys that I think have a real case. Harry Hall, Noren, Wallace, Rai. I mean, you could maybe sell me on like taking a chance on a bomber like Puig or McKibben. But to me, I don't think they've showed enough. They're too green. Like I think the only other guys with a legitimate case that you could sell me on would be Harry Hall, who's just been playing amazing. Like he's just been racking up top 25s on the PGA Tour. Noren has some decent experience in Ryder Cups in the past, and Wallace has been solid.
Noren is a golfer that I genuinely love.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching his golf swing, but apart from that, I feel like he's a lot better golfer than what he turns up to in events. And even though that makes no sense because he obviously doesn't finish that well in terms of wins on the PGA Tour, but he just strikes me as a really, really good golfer. And every time I look at his page on Data Golf, I'm like, oh, top 20 there, oh, another top 20. And he keeps tying together all these top 20s without even ever really scaring for the lead. But the fact that he's gone 2-1-0 at the Golf National the past makes me like him a little bit more for the Ryder Cup. But 2 top 10s in his last 2 finishes, but I can't get there on him this year.
I think I'm okay with Nikolai for that spot as well. I mean, like I said, the only thing that would push me more towards Rai is if I felt that they were really going to grow the rough up and try and test accuracy. But again, I don't even know if that's in the US's best interest because the Europeans have such an answer from an accuracy standpoint. I mean, they have some of the most accurate players in the world on that team in Tommy Fleetwood and Ludvig and Rahm and Hatton. I mean, those are some. Bobby Mack's actually really sneakily underrated driver of the ball in terms of accuracy as well. So, I mean, do you feel right now the U.S. team is still a slight favorite? Are you 100% going to be on your Europeans? It's really hard to win road Ryder Cups, Mark. Doesn't happen very often.
I am under no illusion here about how hard this is. I will not leave them I will not die without them by my side, without me by their side. But I will go for the Europeans just because I find this to be such a spectacle, and I like rooting for underdogs and everything. But I am under no illusion that the Europeans are the underdogs coming into this Ryder Cup. It's going to be a monumental task, and my only fear for Luke Donald is that he has such a good reputation going into this in terms of how well he handled Marco Simone. I just hope that this doesn't undermine the great job that he's done, because people are going to have a recency bias when they come out of here, and if the Europeans get slaughtered in New York, it could be a bloodbath, and I just don't want that being on Luke Donald's reputation. But I genuinely have confidence that he'll prepare them to the best of their ability, and the choices that he makes on the day is going to be the best choices for the most optimal performance of the team. Can I ask you one last question?
Yeah, of course.
As a completely naive 2019 PGA Championship, do you place any value on players finished at that, or has the course changed?
I don't think it hurts, but I don't think that it's going to be set up like a major. I just and the golf course doesn't change. I mean, obviously, like the greens are still the same, but I don't think that it's going to be set up that way. I think it will be set up easier. And I think it's like, I definitely think it's valuable if you have some experience at Bethpage. Like, you know, they've had the Northern Trust here as well. But like, for example, Patrick Reed has won a Northern Trust at Bethpage, and I don't think that's enough reason to put him on the team. You know, same with Brooks Koepka, just because he won the PGA at Bethpage in 2019. I don't think that's enough for me. I think experience at Bethpage is valuable and helpful, but I'm not looking at that 2019 PGA thinking that it's a worthy enough reason for you to be on the Ryder Cup team.
I would love to see Patrick Reed in the US team.
That'd be fun. I just don't think he's played well enough. I thought that there was a chance. He was on my team a couple months ago when he like finished so highly at the Masters, and he has played some great golf this year on the DP World Tour, but I just don't think he's done enough in majors. I think if you're playing on LIV, you need to perform in majors. And obviously he was great at the Masters, but I thought he was too disappointing at the Open Championship and the US Open to make the team. Same thing with Brooks. I mean, I think Brooks is like, obviously one of the 25 to 30 best golfers ever, but he didn't show up in majors enough this year.
Yeah, majors mean so much for these players. I think that's why Hatton's done a relatively good job. I can't remember where he's finished.
Yeah. Hatton was amazing at Oakmont.
Yeah, T4 at Oakmont, and then T16 at the Open Championship, but he was doing okay up until the final day, I think, as well.
Yeah. Mark, this was a pleasure as always, my friend. I hope to, I actually, because I need to get back to Ireland. Like, it's just been too long. I want to go to a dare.
Oh, buddy.
That would be fun to meet up at a dare, because you guys obviously have the Ryder Cup 2 years from now.
I played it 2 years ago, or a year ago.
How was it?
It's immaculate.
It's like the Augusta of Ireland, right? It's in like insane condition, obviously.
Insane conditions, the big vast white bunkers, the 17th hole. Honest to God, you feel like you're in the middle of Augusta National with the big trees either side of the fairway. It's incredible. Yeah,
was it hard to get a tee time? Was it difficult to get on?
Not overly difficult, but expensive.
It's expensive, right? What is it? It's like a $600. I don't know what the conversion is, but probably for American dollars, it's easily like a $500 or $600 round.
€475 for the round, €75 plus tip for the caddy, and then they say there's a rule that you have to stay in the hotel as well. But the hotel can. I didn't pay this time, but you have to pay like €1,200 for a room.
Oh, dude, then the hotel is what kills you then, because if you're, I mean, not that a $475 round is cheap, but a lot of great golf courses in the U.S. resort courses are that expensive now. I would have no problem playing that to pay the golf course once, but if they're getting you on like $1,200 a night to staying in the hotel, that's where things start to get a little irresponsible.
We'll get you down to watch it even if you want to come in 2027.
Yeah.
I'll collect you from the airport and we can go down and drive down to it there.
How far is it from where you live?
2.5 hours.
Oh, not bad. Doable.
No,
so
it's
at
fine.
least it's a drive and not a flight. Well, that's something to look forward then, because do you have any plans to come to the US and check out any of the golf courses here anytime in the future?
Just actually, funny enough, you asked me because we got an email at work this week saying that we're going to go to New York or go to Washington in November.
Washington DC or Washington
DC.
State. Oh, I won't be anywhere near there in November, but I can set you up. There's some great golf courses down there.
Yeah, I think the rumor was we're going to fly into New York on the Friday and then go down and chill Friday, Saturday, and then get a train into Washington on the Sunday.
Yeah.
So I'll keep you updated. I'll drop you a message about that.
Keep me updated. There's some great golf courses down there. I was actually playing with a DC guy the other week, and he was telling me about like the congressional redesign and stuff. So you'll enjoy that. And obviously, me and because my closest friend from high school, who you met, Billy, obviously, his dad has been making that trip to Ireland for 30 years. Like, he has been going with his buddy, and he's a Ballybunion and Tralee member. So he's been going to Ballybunion twice a year for 30 years straight, literally. And his son, Billy, is like my closest golf buddy. So we've kind of said to ourselves, like, we have to carry on the tradition and go to Ireland for the rest of our lives, because to his dad, it's like the most special place on earth. And he really, Ballybunion, like, he's super close with the starter and just stays in the same hotel every time. And it's a really special place to him. So I'll be back. Don't worry about it. I will be back many times, hopefully, for the rest of my life.
It's 10 p.m. here, and I don't feel like I'm going to sleep a wink just thinking about this.
Waterville, I want to play it again under calmer conditions, because there were a couple of holes where we were like playing it in a monsoon.
Yeah, I don't think Waterville's to the standard of
it's not Ballybunion.
But I want to play it again, see what it's like, because it was quite tough conditions that day. I just don't think it has what they have Ballybunion. Yeah. We also need to get you next time we're coming up. We'll plan out this itinerary, but we'll do Royal County Down, Port Rush. We'll go over to Rosapenna, which is the 3 courses, including St. Patrick's Links by Tom Doak, which is a masterpiece.
I've heard St. Patrick's is unbelievable.
I've played it 3 times, I think, and every single time I'm like, this is the best place on earth. It's just incredible.
I look forward to it, Mark. Thanks for joining me as always, and cheers, buddy. This was a blast.
Absolute pleasure, Andy. We'll be sure to chat soon.